WP TV.
Welcome back to WP Sportsdesk. I'm joined by Greg, Ryan, Danny, and Wyatt to talk about the NFL Draft. Now, fellas, last night was round one, and 32 rookies now have a home. Which rookie will make the most immediate impact to their new team? Greg?
Well, I think that O.J. Howard is going to make the best immediate impact because he's a big upgrade at tight end for the Bucs. And if you look at the roster, they got Deshaun Jackson now, they got Mike Evans now, and with O.J. Howard at tight end, Jameis Winston has a lot of weapons, and they can make a playoff run this year.
Danny?
I'm going to have to go with Marshawn Lattimore. He was a real steal for the Saints to get at the 11th pick. It was a very offensive-heavy top 10, so a lot of elite defensive talent really fell. So I think it's going to be a great pick for them. The Saints have been trying for years to fix their secondary, and it looks like they're finally heading in that direction.
Yeah, me and Danny are in total agreement, especially when you looked at that graphic. The Saints were dead last in pass defense last year and also dead last in points. So they really need to do something with that secondary. And Marshawn Lattimore is a crazy athlete coming from a very, very good program.
I was thinking about taking Lattimore as well, but what's the most important position in football? Quarterback.
Oh,
What are the Houston Texans needed for all these years? Quarterback. They drafted Deshaun Watson from Clemson. He's a natural leader. He has championship pedigree. And what do the Texans have? A great defense. Put that together, they're going to make some noise next year.
Definitely complete agreement, especially when I watch those two Alabama games.
Yes.
Like, last 2 years.
He just killed it in the college football playoff.
Interesting, a split, 2 on offense, 2 on defense. But there are some great names on offense and defense still available. Could see him go in the second round, could see him go in the third round. Who are you most surprised to see fall out of the first round?
Mine's an interesting choice. Mine is Forrest Lamp from Western Kentucky. He's an offensive guard. You're probably thinking, that isn't flashy, that's not a wide receiver or quarterback. This guy wins in the trenches. He can stop interior pass rushers. His athleticism is good enough to move into the second and third level on runs. He's definitely the best guy left because he's the best interior pass rusher. You need an offensive line to win. He's the best one available.
Oh, definitely. He's definitely the best one available right now. But, I mean, when you look at the offensive line class as a whole, it's been pretty weak. So, for me, it had to be Dalvin Cook, someone who can be a true difference maker. For me, he is honestly Devontae Freeman of the Atlanta Falcons. He's just not Devontae Freeman yet. The reason why he ended up falling is because of some of the off-the-field issues, and he has a fumbling problem. And going into the draft, nobody was really sure, how bad those issues were. And clearly, we got our answer last night with him completely falling out of the first round. Really was the second best back in this draft.
Right?
Well, as Ryan know, before quarterback is the most important position, Deshaun Kaiser's still there. You saw the Bears trade up one spot. You saw the Texans and Chiefs trade their first-round picks next year to move up. So teams tend to reach for quarterbacks, even though there's a weak class. A lot of them went high, so I'm surprised the team didn't take a chance on Kaiser.
Danny?
I'm going to go with Sidney Jones, cornerback out of Washington. Guy had a lot of talent. He had an Achilles tear mid-March, which really hurt his draft status. But the average recovery time's around 6 months. That pretty much brings us to September. And if a team's willing to take a risk on a guy with a health issue, this guy is a great, great talent.
And Danny, to your point, there's a lot of good cornerbacks left. Kevin King, Teez Tabor, Quincy Wilson, good pick.
What did your man Mel Kiper said that there could be 15 quarterbacks taken in this
Such a good
taken in the
cornerback
first
class.
3
Oh,
rounds?
yeah.
It's insane.
Chris,
Absolutely
your
insane.
Eagles.
Yeah, hopefully my Eagles do get a cornerback. We'll keep it local, not with the Eagles, but with the Jets and Giants. Both had pretty solid picks. Which fan base should be happier with their first-round pick? Greg, we'll start with
I think the Jets taking Jamal Adams was a better move than the Giants taking Evan Ingram because some people thought he was the second best guy in the whole draft behind Myles Garrett, who went number 1. And the Giants, while Ingram does fit a need and he is a good player, I feel like they could have maybe waited another round and still got him.
Danny?
I'm going to have to agree. The Jets fans have to be a little bit more excited than Giants fans. I'll preface by saying both teams had a great first-round pick.
Yep.
But you got to be happier with Jamal Adams. I mean, he's an elite tackler. One of his best qualities. He's a great one-on-one tackler. It's hard to get by him. So you can't put a price on that. I mean, that's huge. So, I mean, the Giants, Evan Ingram's a great pick, but it just seems like their priorities should have been elsewhere. So I think the Jets made a better pick for filling the needs they really had to prioritize.
What?
Well, I mean, yes, the Jets made a great pick at number 6. So everyone is basically available right there. So that's why it's very easy to take a Jamal Adams. What happened to the Giants, though, is that they saw 4 prospects that they were really targeting all go within 4 picks right before they went. And they had to make a decision, so they went with Evan Ingram. a very crazy athlete. His 40 time was a 4.42, which would have been tied for 5th among wide receivers. He's an absolute athlete. He's going to go down the middle of the field, and he's going to do some damage for this team next year.
I can't get excited with whatever the Jets do. They're terrible. They're awful. And I get it. I get they're rebuilding. I like Jamal Adams, but they're terrible. They're awful. The Giants just created an offensive juggernaut. Odell Beckham, Brandon Marshall, Sterling Shepard, Evan Ingram. They're going for one more run with Eli.
All I gotta say about Jets is in Magic Mike we trust.
All right.
Like a few years ago, Leonard Williams was was one of the top ranked prospects, perhaps the number 1 ranked prospect. He fell to us at number 6.
Interesting.
Just like
stuff.
Adams did.
While rookies are finding a new home, earlier this week, 2 veterans found a new team to play for. To update us on the remaining free agents, we go to our correspondent, Justin Valentovic.
Beast Mode is back. Marshawn Lynch ended his retirement by agreeing to a 2-year deal with the Oakland Raiders. The Seahawks, who owned his rights, have worked out a trade with the Raiders. Adrian Peterson also found a new home in New Orleans. On Tuesday, he signed a 2-year deal with the Saints after 10 years with the Minnesota Vikings. Darrelle Revis, Jamal Charles, LeGarrette Blount, Nick Mangold, and Mario Williams are all still on the market.
Thanks, Justin. That's all for football, but up next, Dylan Burns and the basketball crew break down the NBA playoffs. Stay tuned.